She was only a mother dog, exhausted and trapped in the mud, holding her puppy above the water. He was not a hero, just an ordinary man, standing at the edge of a dark swamp, told it was too dangerous to go on. No applause, no certainty, only a quiet moment where walking away would have been easier. But sometimes the people and the hearts that save lives are the ones no one expects. If this story speaks to you, please stay with us until the end. Share it with someone who believes kindness still matters. Leave a comment to say a prayer or a kind word, and consider subscribing so more stories like this can reach the people who need them. May God bless you and watch over you. Late afternoon settles over New Orleans, where damp heat clings to skin and water waits just beneath the streets, silent and patient. The sky is heavy, low clouds bruised with gray and blue. The air smells of rain that has not yet fallen. Traffic hums nearby, restless, impatient, alive. Beyond the road, tall reeds sway along the edge of a forgotten marsh, dark water hidden beneath their thin green blades. Jason Miller stands beside his car, one hand resting on the open door, the other wrapped loosely around a worn leather leash. He is 38, broad-shouldered but not imposing, with a tired strength that comes from years of working with his hands. His dark hair is cut short, already thinning slightly at the temples. A trimmed beard shadows his jaw, softening sharp cheekbones that once made him look younger than he felt. There is a crease between his brows that never fully fades, etched there by responsibility, by choices postponed too long. Jason has always been careful, not fearful, but measured. The kind of man who believes problems can be managed if approached calmly, step by step. That belief has shaped him ever since his father died suddenly when Jason was 19, leaving him to take over things he never expected to carry. Since then, Jason has learned to keep control, to avoid chaos. Molly pulls gently at the leash. She is a golden retriever, nearly 6 years old, her coat a deep honey color, dulled slightly by age and motherhood. Her fur is thick and soft, but no longer pristine. Faint scars hide beneath it, reminders of scraped fences and hurried escapes during her younger days. Her eyes are warm brown, intelligent and alert, always scanning, always aware. Molly carries herself with quiet confidence, but today, something in her posture is wrong. Her ears twitch at every sharp sound. Her tail stays low, tense. Beside her, Ben hops in small, clumsy circles. Ben is only 8 weeks old, a round-bodied bundle of pale gold fur and oversized paws. His ears are still too large for his head, flopping awkwardly when he moves. His eyes are darker than Molly's, curious and trusting, unaware of how fragile his small body truly is. He smells faintly of milk and dust and the newness of life. Ben has learned the world through Molly, through her warmth, her patience, her steady presence. A train horn blares somewhere in the distance. Molly stiffens. Jason glances toward the sound, distracted. He shifts his weight, half turning toward the car as another vehicle roars past, horn blaring unnecessarily loud. The city feels louder than usual, sharper. Somewhere nearby, construction machinery clanks, metal screaming against metal. The leash slips. It is not dramatic, not violent, just a moment of inattention. Leather sliding through fingers slick with humidity. Molly bolts. "Hey, Molly!" Jason's voice snaps tight with surprise, then strain. He lunges forward, hand closing on empty air. Molly doesn't look back. Panic has taken her fully now, instinct overriding training, memory, reason. She runs toward the reeds, away from the noise, away from the road. Ben yelps and stumbles after her. "Molly! Ben!" Jason breaks into a run, shoes slapping against wet asphalt. He calls again, louder, sharper, fear rising in his chest like cold water. But the reeds swallow them whole. The ground changes beneath his feet as he reaches the edge solid pavement, giving way to soft earth, damp and unstable. Jason slows instinctively, heart pounding. The reeds ahead sway violently, then still. Silence follows. Not peaceful silence. The kind that presses in, listening. Jason pushes forward a few steps, peering into the tall grass. The smell changes instantly, mud, rot, stagnant water. He hesitates. This is not a place meant for hurried movement, not a place meant for mistakes. "Molly," he calls again, quieter now. No answer. Inside the reeds, Molly skids to a halt as the earth collapses beneath her weight. The ground does not crack or break, it simply gives up. Her paws sink, then slide. She twists, trying to turn back, but Ben collides with her side, and they tumble together down a shallow slope into thick, black mud. Cold water surges around Molly's legs. She yelps once, startled more than hurt, and immediately shifts her body to shield Ben. The mud grips her limbs like hands, sucking her down inch by inch. She plants her paws, muscles straining. Panic surges again, sharp and overwhelming. Ben whimpers, scrambling, his tiny claws finding no purchase. Molly lowers her body, forcing Ben upward, nudging him against her chest. Her breathing grows heavy. Every movement costs effort. She tries to pull free, but the mud resists, dragging her deeper. She stops struggling. Molly has learned this lesson before, in smaller ways. The harder you fight, the faster you sink. Ben trembles against her, his small body slick with mud. He presses his head under her chin, seeking comfort. Molly licks his face once, slow and deliberate, despite the rising water. She looks back the way they came. There is no clear path, just reeds and shadow. Jason's voice carries faintly now, distant, broken by wind and traffic. Molly lifts her head and answers, a sharp bark tearing from her throat. It echoes strangely, swallowed too quickly. She barks again. Nothing answers. The water creeps higher, cold against her ribs. Molly shifts her stance, adjusting to the pull of the mud. Her muscles burn. Her heart races, not with blind panic now, but with calculation, with instinct honed by years of watching, guarding, choosing. She looks down at Ben. He looks back at her, trusting completely. Behind them, the surface of the water ripples. Just once. Then again. Molly freezes, every sense sharpening. The ripples are slow, deliberate, moving against the wind. Something large shifts beneath the surface, unseen but present. The smell changes again, faint, ancient, predatory. Molly does not growl. She does not bark. She simply positions herself more firmly in front of Ben, bracing her body between him and the dark water, eyes fixed on the widening disturbance. Far away, Jason steps back from the reeds, heart hammering, doubt creeping in. He tells himself they couldn't have gone far. He tells himself help is nearby. He tells himself he will come back with flashlights, with others. But the silence behind the reeds feels heavier now. And beneath the surface of the marsh, something waits. Night arrives faster than Molly expects. The last warmth of the day drains from the air, replaced by a damp cold that seeps into fur and skin alike. The marsh changes its voice after sunset. What was once rustling reeds and distant traffic becomes something quieter, heavier, an open space that seems to listen. Molly shifts her front paws and immediately feels the resistance. The mud tightens around her legs, thick and adhesive, pulling downward with quiet determination. She tries again, slower this time, angling her body sideways in search of firmer ground. The result is the same. The more she moves, the deeper she sinks. She stops. Ben whimpers softly. He is trembling now, his small body pressed against her chest. His fur is soaked through, the pale gold darkened by water and slime. His breathing is fast and uneven, little puffs of air escaping his mouth in short, panicked bursts. He tries to lift one paw, slips, and presses his face into her shoulder instead. Molly lowers her head and nudges him gently upward. Her movement costs her. The mud grips tighter, climbing higher along her forelegs. A dull ache spreads through her joints, steady and relentless. She exhales through her nose and stills herself completely. Instinct whispers what experience has already taught her. Struggling will only pull them both under. The marsh smells different at night, stronger, sharper. Beneath the scent of rot and stagnant water lies something else, an unfamiliar heaviness that makes Molly's stomach tighten. She lifts her head slightly, ears twitching, listening for sounds beyond Ben's breathing. There is nothing. No voices, no footsteps, no lights cutting through the reeds. The distant world has gone silent, as if the city itself has turned its back on this place once darkness falls. Ben shifts again, weakly. He whines, the sound barely louder than the water lapping against Molly's sides. She adjusts her stance, carefully redistributing her weight. Her hind legs tremble, muscles burning as she lowers herself another fraction of an inch. It hurts, but Ben rises with her movement, his chest clearing the water just enough for him to breathe more easily. Molly holds that position. She does not look away from the darkness ahead. Time stretches thin. Seconds blur into something shapeless. The marsh does not hurry. It simply exists, patient and unmoved by urgency or fear. The waterline creeps upward, slow but constant. Cold presses against Molly's ribs. Each breath feels heavier than the last. She focuses on keeping her balance, on keeping Ben where he is. Stay still. The thought is not conscious, not spoken in words, but it settles into her body all the same. Stillness is the only thing the marsh does not punish. Ben's movements slow. His shivering becomes uneven, coming in short bursts. He presses his face beneath Molly's chin, seeking warmth, seeking reassurance. She lowers her head and rests her muzzle against the top of his skull. The gesture is small, but deliberate. The water shifts. Not from wind, not from Molly's movement. Something subtle ripples across the surface several feet away, spreading outward in a smooth, controlled pattern. Molly's ears flatten instantly. Her body stiffens, though she does not move. She watches. The ripple fades. The water smooths over, dark and reflective once more. For a moment, there is nothing at all. Then, without sound, a shape breaks the surface. Two dull yellow points appear just above the waterline, low, wide-set, unblinking. They linger for less than a second, reflecting faint traces of moonlight through the clouds. Molly holds her breath. The eyes remain fixed on her, unreadable. There is no splash, no sudden movement, only presence. Ben lets out a tiny, frightened sound. Molly does not turn. She does not bark. She does not bare her teeth. Every instinct in her body urges silence, urges restraint. The eyes sink back beneath the surface. The water closes over them, as if they were never there at all. Molly remains where she is, unmoving, her body locked in place. She presses herself deeper into the mud, bracing, anchoring. Ben stays balanced against her, small and fragile, but alive. The marsh exhales softly around them. And Molly waits. The realization comes quietly, not as panic, not as fear, but as certainty. Molly stops measuring time by sound or movement and begins to measure it by Ben's breathing. Each breath is shorter now, more effortful. His small chest rises unevenly against her shoulder, then pauses, as if unsure whether it has the strength to continue. The water is higher. She feels it press against her ribs, cold and unyielding. The mud no longer pulls, it holds. Her legs are no longer sinking because there is nowhere left to sink. Molly understands something then. If she tries to lift Ben out of the marsh, she will lose her balance. If she shifts too far, the mud will release one leg only to swallow the other. If she struggles, they will both go under. There is no version of this where they leave together. Her heartbeat slows. Ben stirs, trying to climb again, weak paws scraping uselessly against her wet fur. He whines, confused, frightened by the stillness that has replaced her constant adjustments. Molly lifts her head and looks around, not searching for help, not hoping anymore, but assessing. Just ahead, barely visible through the darkness, something breaks the surface of the marsh. A gnarled root, a fragment of a fallen tree, softened by years of rot and water. It rises only a few inches above the surface, slick and unstable, but solid enough to exist. Not enough for her, enough for him. Molly shifts her weight for the first time with intention. Pain flares immediately, sharp and bright along her forelegs. She grits her teeth and holds it, adjusting inch by inch. The mud resists, then relents just enough. She angles her body sideways, forcing her shoulder higher. Ben slides upward. He cries out, startled, his paws slipping as he loses the familiar support of her chest. Instinctively, he clings to her neck, claws digging into her fur. Molly growls softly. It is not a warning. It is not anger. It is effort and resolve, pulled from deep within her chest. She nudges Ben again, firmer this time, guiding him toward the root. "No," Ben whimpers, his small body trembling as he tries to press back against her. Molly pushes. The movement costs her everything. The mud surges higher around her shoulders, icy and heavy. Her back legs shake violently, muscles screaming as they struggle to hold her upright. Ben reaches the root. For a moment he balances awkwardly, half on, half off. Then he slips, sliding back toward her, panic overtaking him. He cries again, louder now, desperate. Molly bares her teeth, not at him, but at the moment itself. She snaps once, sharp and controlled, stopping him mid-movement. The sound freezes him. His eyes lock onto hers, wide and wet with fear. Stay. She pushes him again, one final time, forcing his front paws onto the root. His claws find purchase in the softened wood. He scrambles, scrapes, and finally pulls himself up, chest heaving as he collapses against it. Ben is out of the water. Molly exhales slowly. The relief lasts less than a second. Without Ben's weight anchoring her balance, her body shifts. The mud loosens its grip on one leg and tightens around the other. She tilts dangerously, water rushing against her neck. She corrects herself just in time, lowering her body deeper instead of rising. The waterline climbs to her shoulders now, cold biting into her lungs with every breath. Ben whines from the root, confused, reaching toward her with one paw. Molly does not move closer. She lifts her head, meeting his gaze, holding it. Her ears remain forward, her expression steady. There is no fear in her eyes now, only instruction. Stay there. Behind her, the marsh stirs. The water begins to move with purpose, no longer subtle. A slow rotation forms, spreading outward in a wide circle. The surface darkens as something large displaces it from below. Molly does not turn. She already knows. The predator has been waiting for this moment, the moment when separation happens, when balance is broken, when choice reveals weakness. The waterline creeps higher along her neck. Each breath becomes a conscious act. She feels the strength leaving her hind legs, replaced by numbness. Ben cries again, louder now, frightened by the distance between them. Molly answers with a single bark, short, sharp, commanding. Ben stills. The marsh continues to move behind her, patient and deliberate. Whatever watches her now does not rush. It understands that time is on its side. Molly lowers her head slightly, aligning her body with the current, bracing herself. She becomes heavier, more rooted, pressing deeper into the mud instead of fighting it. If something comes for her, it will meet her first. If this is where the marsh takes its price, it will not take her son with it. The water swirls again, and Molly holds her ground. The marsh reveals itself slowly, as if deciding how much it wants to be seen. Jason Miller stops at the edge of the reeds, boots planted on ground that no longer feels solid. The air here is different, thicker, heavier, carrying the sour scent of stagnant water and decay. His flashlight cuts through the tall grass in an unsteady beam, illuminating only fragments, twisted roots, slick mud, black water that reflects nothing back. Behind him, footsteps slow. 3 figures remain several paces away, instinctively forming a boundary they are unwilling to cross. Mark Collins stands nearest. He is in his early 50s, tall and broad, with a heavy gray beard that frames a deeply weathered face. His eyes are sharp but worn, the kind shaped by years of rescue calls that did not end well. His posture is careful, measured, as if he has learned the cost of moving too fast. The reflective vest he wears is faded, the fabric stiff with old mud stains that never quite washed out. A few steps behind Mark is Evan Price, a young volunteer no older than 25. He is slim, restless, with pale skin and short blonde hair plastered to his forehead with sweat. His hands keep returning to the strap of his radio, gripping and releasing it in nervous repetition. Evan's eyes flick constantly between Jason and the water, unsure where he should be looking. To the side stands Lena Morales, a wildlife response officer in her 40s. She is compact and strong, her dark hair pulled back tightly at the nape of her neck. Years in the Louisiana heat have left her skin sun-darkened and her expression permanently alert. She does not look at Jason at all. Her gaze remains fixed on the marsh, scanning for movement. They all hear it. A sound, faint but unmistakable. Jason's breath catches, his shoulders tense. "That's her," he says quietly. "That's Molly." The sound comes again, weak, broken, but alive. A small whimper follows it, thinner still. Evan swallows hard. "Sir, that's coming from deep in there." Jason takes one step forward without thinking. The ground shifts beneath his weight, softening instantly. Mud clings to the sole of his boot, tugging as if testing how easily he might be pulled down. He freezes, heart pounding, then slowly shifts his weight back. The marsh does not resist him. It simply waits. Mark lifts one hand, palm out. He doesn't touch Jason. He doesn't need to. "That's far enough," he says. Jason turns toward him sharply. "You hear them," he says. "They're right there." Mark nods once. "I know." Lena crouches slightly, shining her own light across the water's surface. The beam trembles, broken by ripples that may or may not be caused by movement. "This stretch isn't mapped well," she says. "Drop-offs, soft pockets, and gators." The word hangs in the air. Jason clenches his jaw. "So what are you saying?" Mark exhales slowly. For a moment, he looks older than he did seconds ago. "I'm saying this area has taken people before," he says. 2 years back, same conditions, night rescue. We didn't even see the animal." Evan looks down, shifting his weight. He says nothing. Jason's eyes return to the marsh. His flashlight trembles slightly in his hand. The beam catches on nothing solid, only darkness layered over darkness. The sound comes again, fainter now. "My dog would come for me," Jason says. His voice is low, almost to himself. Mark studies him carefully. He has seen this look before, too many times. "Jason," he says, choosing each word with care. "We don't trade lives." Jason turns back. "That's it?" he asks. "You just stand here?" Mark does not raise his voice. He does not argue. "We can come back at first light," he says. "With boats, with barriers." "And if they don't last that long?" Jason asks. No one answers. The marsh makes a soft sound, water shifting somewhere beyond the reeds. Lena straightens slightly, her hand tightening around her flashlight. Mark finally says the thing no one wants to hear. "We can't risk lives for a dog." The words land heavily, sinking into the space between them. Jason does not respond. He stands very still, staring down at the black mud at his feet. It glistens faintly under the flashlight, thick and featureless. One careless step would be enough. One misjudgment. He can turn around. He can walk back to solid ground, back to lights and radios and rules that make sense. He can accept the explanation, the logic, the safety of it. No one would blame him. The marsh remains silent. And Jason does not move. The water breaks the surface with intention. Not a splash, not panic. A slow, deliberate rise, as if the marsh itself has decided to reveal what has been waiting beneath it all along. The ridged back appears first, dark and wet, followed by the broad head. The eyes sit high and steady, reflecting nothing, measuring everything. The distance between predator and prey is no more than a few yards. Molly feels it before she fully sees it. A pressure in the water, a shift in the current that does not belong to wind or tide. Her hind legs tremble violently now, muscles pushed past endurance. The mud has climbed to her shoulders, cold and suffocating. Each breath burns. Ben whimpers from the root. The sound is thin, fragile, barely audible. Molly turns. She places her body squarely between the predator and her son. Her back arches slightly as she braces herself, forcing her weight downward, anchoring into the mud as deeply as she can. Her tail sinks beneath the surface. Her chest tightens, lungs working harder against the rising water. She does not bare her teeth. She does not growl. She simply faces what is coming. The predator pauses. It tilts its head fractionally, reassessing. Its body glides closer, silent, efficient. The water parts around it without resistance. Ben cries out again, weak and frightened. Molly answers with a short, sharp bark, commanding, final. The sound costs her breath, but it holds Ben still. His small body presses lower against the root, claws digging into the softened wood. On the far side of the reeds, Jason hears the sound. It cuts through him like a blade. He stands frozen at the edge of the marsh, heart slamming against his ribs. The flashlight beam shakes violently in his hand now, catching the smooth, armored shape moving through the water. He sees it clearly. There is no mistaking it. "Jason!" Mark shouts behind him. "Don't!" Jason does not turn. He shrugs off his jacket, letting it fall into the grass. His hands move without hesitation, unlacing his boots, kicking them free. The mud is cold against his bare feet when he steps forward, toes sinking instantly. "Jason, stop!" Evan yells, panic breaking through his voice. Jason wades in. The water pulls at his calves, then his knees. The mud grips him, testing his balance, warning him of how easily it could take him too. His breath comes fast, shallow. Every instinct screams at him to turn back. He doesn't. Mark reaches out, grabbing Jason's arm. His grip is strong, desperate. "Once you're in there," he says, voice tight. "I can't get you back." Jason looks at him then. Up close, his face is pale, drawn, eyes burning with something that has nothing to do with bravery. It is resolve born of inevitability, of understanding what it means to walk away and what it costs. "She's still holding," Jason says quietly. "She's still between it and the puppy." Mark hesitates. For the first time, doubt flickers across his face. Jason pulls free and steps deeper. The water reaches his thighs now, then his waist. Each step is slower than the last. The marsh resists him with quiet persistence. The predator reacts. It shifts direction smoothly, angling away from the root away from Ben, toward Molly. The water around her begins to churn as it closes the final distance. The current presses harder against her chest, forcing the breath from her lungs in short, painful bursts. Molly does not retreat. Her hind legs buckle briefly, then lock again, trembling violently as she forces herself upright. Pain flares along her spine, sharp and blinding. She holds. This is what she chose. Jason sees the movement. He shouts, voice raw, tearing through the night. He cannot reach them in time. He knows it. The distance is too great, the mud too deep. The predator lunges, not fast, not wild, just enough. Molly shifts her weight at the last possible second, angling her body to meet it head-on. The water surges around her shoulders. Her head dips beneath the surface for a heartbeat too long. Ben screams. Jason pushes forward, losing his footing, nearly falling as the mud releases one leg and traps the other. He stumbles, regains balance by sheer force of will. The predator stops again. Its head lifts slightly, eyes tracking Jason now. Assessing this new variable, the movement has cost it nothing. It can afford patience. Molly remains between them. Her body is barely above the water now. Only her head and shoulders remain visible. Her breath comes in harsh gasps, each one a struggle. But she does not move aside. Jason wades closer, every step an act of defiance. Behind him, Mark's voice fades into the distance. The world narrows to water, mud, and the space between life and loss. The predator waits, Molly holds her ground, and the marsh closes in. Chaos does not arrive loudly. It comes in fragments, light, sound, movement colliding all at once. A sudden glare cuts through the darkness as headlights flare on at the edge of the marsh. Engines roar, low and aggressive, vibrations traveling through the water and mud alike. A sharp metallic clang echoes as equipment is dropped and dragged into position. The predator reacts instantly. The stillness breaks. The massive body shifts, water surging violently as it veers away from the noise. The eyes disappear beneath the surface, the ridged back slipping into darkness as if pulled downward by the marsh itself. Jason does not wait. He lunges forward, arms burning, legs barely responding as the mud releases him inch by inch. He reaches the root just as Ben's strength gives out. The puppy slips. Jason catches him against his chest, hands closing around the small, shaking body. Ben yelps once, then presses his face into Jason's neck, claws gripping desperately. "You're okay," Jason whispers, voice breaking. "I've got you." He turns and sees Molly sinking. Her head dips beneath the surface, then rises again weakly. Her eyes are unfocused now, body trembling violently as the mud claims more of her weight. She tries to breathe, water spilling from her mouth in broken gasps. "Molly!" Jason shouts. Behind him, a rope snaps tight. Mark Collins braces himself at the marsh's edge, feet planted wide, back straining as he holds the safety line. His face is rigid with concentration, jaw clenched beneath his gray beard. He has seen this moment too many times, the moment when it is already too late. "Jason!" Mark yells. "The line won't hold both of you." Jason hears him. He understands, and he keeps going. He lowers Ben onto the bank, hands lingering for a fraction of a second to be sure the puppy is steady. Ben whines, stretching one paw toward the water, eyes wide with panic. Jason turns back. The water is at Molly's neck now. Her movements are slow, uncoordinated. She is drowning on her feet. Jason steps deeper, ignoring the pull of the rope biting into his waist. The mud grabs him, dragging him down, but he leans forward, forcing his body to keep moving. He reaches Molly just as her head slips fully under. Jason plunges his arms into the water and finds her collar by instinct. His fingers close around it, knuckles scraping against hardened leather. He yanks upward with everything he has. Molly's head breaks the surface. She does not resist. She does not help. Her body is slack, surrendered to exhaustion. "Hold on," Jason says through clenched teeth. "Please." The rope strains. Mark stumbles, catching himself at the last second as Evan and Lena rush in behind him, grabbing the line, anchoring it with their combined weight. Evan's face is pale, eyes wide with fear. Lena's jaw is set, muscles locked as she leans back, boots digging into the earth. Together, they pull. The marsh resists. The mud refuses to release its claim easily. Molly's body emerges inch by inch, water pouring from her fur in dark streams. Jason slips once, nearly losing his footing, but he tightens his grip, refusing to let go. Finally, the suction breaks. They fall backward onto solid ground in a tangle of limbs, rope, and wet fur. For a moment, no one moves. Molly lies still. Her chest does not rise. Ben scrambles toward her, small paws slipping in the mud as he presses his face against her cheek. He whines softly, then licks her muzzle, again and again. Jason drops to his knees beside her, hands shaking as he presses his ear to her chest. Nothing. The marsh is quiet again. Jason closes his eyes. Then barely, Molly exhales. A shallow, rattling breath shudders through her body. Her chest rises once, then again. Water spills from her mouth as she coughs weakly. Ben yelps, tail wagging frantically as he buries his face into her fur. Molly's eyes flutter open. They are dull, unfocused, but alive. Jason laughs once, a broken sound halfway to a sob. He presses his forehead against Molly's wet fur, breathing in the familiar scent beneath the mud and rot. No one speaks. Mark loosens his grip on the rope slowly, shoulders sagging as the tension drains from his body. Evan wipes his face with the back of his hand, pretending it is sweat. Lena turns away for a moment, steadying herself. Water drips steadily from Molly's coat, darkening the ground beneath her. The marsh gives nothing back. But tonight, it takes nothing more. Jason wraps his arms around both dogs, holding them close as the night finally begins to loosen its grip. And this time, no one turns away. Sometimes miracles don't come as thunder or light from the sky. Sometimes they come as a choice, the moment someone refuses to turn away. In the darkest places, when fear is loud and hope feels small, God often works through quiet courage, through a mother who stands her ground, through a human heart that chooses compassion over safety, through hands that reach back when it would be easier to let go. This story isn't just about a dog or a rescue or a swamp in the night. It's about our daily lives, the moments when we see suffering and must decide whether to walk past or step closer. If this story touched you, may God bless you and protect those you love. May He give you strength when you face hard choices and mercy when the road feels heavy. Please share this story so its message can reach someone who needs hope today. Leave a comment if you believe in miracles, or if you believe God still works through ordinary people. Subscribe to the channel to support stories that remind us kindness still matters. May God watch over you, today and always.